Hey everyone, I'm Will from WHCreations and I'm here today with Evolution Tools to make this Japanese style oak stave bench. Now this project is going to be using minimal tools and we're going to be using the natural curve of the oak to create something that's durable and hard wearing that can be used inside or out. Now as you can see, all my staves are in size order, and to make this bench we're going to need 7 pieces. 3 of these pieces are going to make the bench top, 2 pieces to make the legs, this larger piece to make a cross member, and 2 pieces to tie it all together. Now let's move over to the workshop where we can start cleaning this up. So the first job we need to do is clean up the boards. I'm going to use this wire wheel to remove all the charring, and I've also set up this dust collection system to make sure that we're not making too much dust in the workshop. And now all the staves are nice and clean, I can start putting the bench top together. To do that I'm going to be using these 3 staves here next to each other. Once I've worked out approximately where I want them, I can use my tape measure to measure across, being 23 centimetres. I can now cut down this smaller stave to act as my cross piece, so to tie them all together. Now don't throw this piece away because we're going to be using it later on in the build. Now I've got these cross pieces cut, I've turned over the bench top, so this is now the underside, and I'm going to put them roughly into place. I'm going to use my tape measure to measure 10 centimetres on both sides to make sure I'm getting this cross piece exactly where I need it to be. Once it's in place I can use a drill bit to make some pilot holes. Once I've drilled one hole, I always like to put in a 40mm screw, and this is just to give me an extra pair of hands to hold it down. Now that one's in place, I'm just going to make sure that my other side is still in the right place. Start drilling some more pilot holes. I'm going to put 2 screws in each of the staves to make sure they're really held down. And now that's all screwed into place, I can now move on and do exactly the same on the other side. Now that we're finished with the bench, I can move this over to one side. For the legs, again, I'm going to be using staves. And the first job, I need to mark the centre. So from going one side to the other, these staves measure approximately 88 centimetres. I'm going to make a mark at 44 centimetres, and then I can cut it in half. There's 2 legs. Now we just need to do exactly the same to the other one. Now that we've got all the legs cut to size, I can bring my bench top back up and start laying out where I want the legs to be. Once I like their positioning, I'm going to use the drill again to start making some pilot holes. Now that the legs are securely into place, I can move on and use my last stave, which is also the biggest one, to act as a cross beam. Now I'm going to force this into position, splaying the legs. Once I like where it is, I'm going to measure across, being 24 centimetres. I can then use the piece that we had left over from before, cut down to 24 centimetres to secure these 2 legs in the correct position. With these 2 pieces now cut to size, I brought the bench back into position. I'm going to start with this side. I'm going to eyeball it and put in a pilot hole and some screws. I'm only going to put one screw in at the moment, just so I can find out the distance to the bottom of the leg. That's 14 centimeters. And then move that onto the other side to make sure it's exactly the same, which it is. And again, drill a screw. With that side done, I'm going to do exactly the same to this side. Once again, I'm going to make sure I've got the same drop, 14 centimeters, and I'm slightly out there. So I'll just nudge this piece down. And there we go. Once that's done, again, drill my holes and screw. With them now connected to the legs, I can start attaching the cross piece into place. And to do that, I'm going to be drilling through these pieces, setting a screw all the way through to lock this into place. I'm going to be using this drill bit that you'd normally use if you're making pocket holes. All I'm going to do is screw a shallow depth just so I can recess the head of the screw. To secure that into place, I'm going to be using these 60mm screws. With that side screwed in place, I'm just going to flip the bench round and do exactly the same to this side. With all that secured down, the bench is done. What do you think? It's not a bad little project, eh? And one that you can do as well. Not very many tools, nice and simple. Oh, and it feels so comfortable. It's the perfect addition to any garden, if you're a gardener, or even for a furniture piece in your house. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, please make sure to click that like button down below and stay tuned for more upcoming videos.